In chess, the art of attack does not simply consist in the execution of tactics, but in your home preparation. In the position you see in front of you, it is white to move. After capturing my pawn on e5, leaves me 2 pawns short. Now I'm 2 pawns down, but I continue to play. The lesson here to be learned is attack and defense. Rook on d8 pins the knight to the queen. This is an artificial check. Queen has to go back in order to defend the knight on d2. So the knight drops back to f3 and will go to d4 in order to exploit my vulnerable e6 square. While white exploits my weakened light squares, my counterattack is attacking the dark squares. 3 of my pieces attack the pawn on f2, the queen, knight, and the rook. All of my pieces are poised to attack. Knight f3 to chase my queen away doesn't work. Rook takes f3, exchange, sacrifice. Knight to g5, now h3 and f3 are both under attack. Bishop on d7 is aiming at the pawn. Queen b4 was played, but the winning move is knight takes f3 check, and it's a mate in 2 moves. Check.
I don't wanna say too much about it, think it might just be.
In this short miniature, you will see how white launches a successful attack against the opponent's king. Also, white's game is a demonstration of grace and ingenuity.
After recapturing on d5, white will advance the pawn to d4, followed by bishop f4, with the idea of posting a knight on the e5 square. So white wants to secure the e5 square for a post and a kingside attack. The bishop drops back to h2 in case of knight h5. Notice development of the 2 bishops. One bishop covers the h2 to b8 diagonal, and the other bishop covers to b1 to h7 diagonal. Both dark and light squares are covered by the bishops. The rook on e1 targets the bishop on e6. White is looking for tactics. Pawn to f4 threatens to go to f5, where it could possibly trap the bishop, and it will. Bishop e6 is a sitting duck.
Here, white's pressure on the kingside, and in the center forces black to make a concession on the light squares around his king's castle.
Now all white has to do is exploit the light squares. The threat is rook takes knight on e6. Building up more pressure on the knight on e6. Forces the knight to move. Not only does pawn h3 to h4 gain tempo on the knight on g5, but after the knight moves, the pawn will proceed to h5 in order to support the knight even more on g6. And now the queen has access to the a2 to g8 diagonal. And now checkmate is inevitable.
Terry, you killed this.
Right now, my kingside attack is in progress. I have a pawn on h5. I want the h-file either half open or all the way open, so it's a half open h-file now. But not for long. The h-file is all the way open. After getting a grip on the light squares, white also denies the opponent access to the dark squares. g3 will be played, followed by pawn on f2 to f4. It's a good idea to tuck the king away before continuing on with the attack. The objective is to mount up as much pressure as we can. Black can be tied down to defense.
Developing the bishop to g5, leading to the Annie-Moran gambit. What is a good plan here for white? Well, for starters, black's kingside pawns have been disrupted. White has a far advanced pawn on e6. Now the strategy is to play around that pawn. This is known as thematic play. Once again, pawn to g3 is played, denying the opponent access to key dark squares. After knight to e3 by black, white makes an exchange sacrifice on e3, leading to a winning position. Finally, the tactics here are in white's favor. Check.